There's always going to be an interesting tech choice that's just going to make you go, wow, maybe I want to get ahead of that. Welcome to the Void Apocalypse. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Honestly, seeing something like Void Apocalypse coming up as a tech choice is beautiful. Now, what in the world actually wants to play a discard a card, send a fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard? Well, I mean, it was Infernoid, but that's... Oh, wait, Infernity 2? No, but it's actually been the recent innovations in the Mind Shuffle deck. Now, why? Well, your Summon Skull, probably the best card in the deck. So, the Summon Skull gets to, on send, sends the ritual spell, and then that's for cost, and then you get to send, or, you get to go recruit for the ritual monster off of it, which... If you have been... I've been uploading a decent amount of content on the Mind Shuffle deck. Like, this deck is actually amazing. For the tools that you're able to access, the control dump ability, it's all just really crazy to get to look at in terms of what the deck actually has going for its power scaling. And honestly... good stuff, man. I'm glad to see that with all of the help and all of the control options that you've been given, like, we actually have a great deck actually working on this scale and is able to access some fun stuff. But Void Apocalypse, it's a one-up. You're not going to choose to explore more than that, because then you're going to start to get into the realm of dead draws, and you really cannot afford a bad level of consistency with the deck. Things have to be as consistent as you need to make them. So, okay. Also, Void Apocalypse does not, you'll be able to get at least one search before you get drolled. Because usually if you use the Mind Shuffle search, they'll droll you before you get to spell. Like, the Summon Skull will get to send for cost, but then, you're not getting anything else. It kind of sucks. Red Nova Dragon, the Burning Soul. This is a funny little tech choice. So, how this is coming up and being used as a discussion is going to actually be in the Mind Shuffle deck again. So, the summoning conditions on this thing are we have to banish a Red Dragon Archfiend and 2 tuner monsters from the graveyard to cheat this out. Now, I want to be very clear about this. You're going to get the Red Dragon Archfiend into the graveyard by Harmonia. So what are our tuners going to be? Harmonia? Effect Veilers? The Ghost Girls? You have a wide range of tools to actually build into this deck. Now, are you going to consistently be able to build a Burning Soul every single turn? Oh, no. This was never a game of consistency. It's a game of, oh, hey, we can build some extra little tools into our extra deck. Because, I mean, when you look at the Mind Shuffle deck, it's a lot of super poly targets, a couple of good synchros for Harmonia that you can access, a couple of alterating tools to be able to access through, Ecclesia, which, by the way, there's another tuner monster that you can actually get access into. Like, if you have to sacrifice an Ecclesia to bridge the gap into the Red Nova, just consider it a little extra tax to be able to produce an extra boss monster out of left field. And like I said, it's a 2-card commitment, one for Red Dragon, one for the Red Supernova Dragon, and it's like, okay, I mean, these are already synchros you can access. You've got a 15-card extra deck. You know what tools that you need to build in to cover which matchups, which also brings us to Nadir Servant. This has been pretty interesting as well. Obviously, Branded has had the massive uptick in wanting to play Nadir Servant, just so you know. It's easier access to Ecclesia. It bridges you into having access to a Fleur-de-Lis as like a little negate to be able to kind of have it on the back burner to provide you with a form of interruption. That's good. These are already existing tools that, a deck like that wants to use, but the Mind Shuffle deck has also started pivoting towards wanting to play Nadir Servant because they can do a couple of cool things. They can actually do Maximus to drop some things from the extra deck, which I mean, Maximus is okay. I mean, he's been the primary one I've seen just as, shave off some resources from the opponent. But honestly, I don't really want to, I guess, if you're using Maximus to drop Red Dragon Archfiend, to set up the Burning Soul, you're kind of getting places. But this is, once again, a bridge into the Ecclesia. The Ecclesia bridges you into, whatever sub-package you're going to feel like you need. But honestly, I think it's just been impressive to see right now in the modern era such an uptick existing within, like, the scope of the existing meta. Like, if you'd asked me months ago if I thought I'd see Nadir Servant come back, I would have said no, because, we're power crept into oblivion now. But it's actually the exact opposite. We're now at a stage that we're seeing, these cards become better because, I guess, we've gotten better tools to allow access to them. But it just takes one little interaction in a toolbox deck like Mind Shuffle to kind of, bridge things together. 1 to 2 little resources can make a massive difference. Witchcrafters. So, Witchcrafter finally landed in the OCG. And Walpurgis not being once per turn to basically, do all of the little dumping that these little lines in the sand need to do for the deck is actually insane. So I've played against Witchcrafter a couple times on Edo Pro just to kind of, get some testing in, because I like Mind Shuffle. I think the deck is a lot of fun. I watched the deck go plus 12 on me. Why was this deck, and obviously the deck, I had the turn 0 Harmonia plus setup, and this deck just gassed me out of the room. Ended up, I think it was plus 12 on me by the time it was done, and I'm still in awe. Like, several days later, after running into this matchup, like, truthfully, the deck is just that crazy when you think about its initial setup and things like that. Like, God, that's crazy to think about, that a deck like that could do that much. And it's all because the deck gets the ability to just start fueling its own, effects for, milling off of a, field spell. And obviously that was what the deck needed. It needed an easier way to get access to its things. It's almost on the level of Orchestra, what they got with their field spell, allowing them to basically play during the opponent's turn. Yeah, even in 2026, that's broken. So they can patch up these older archetypes. They've now proven it to us 2 times over. First Orcus, now Witchcrafter. Now, Witchcrafter, I think if you can learn the way that pile deck works, you're going to be able to make some very disgustingly good boards. And then Toons. So the Toon invasion has already begun. And honestly, I don't think it's too bad to see a uptick in Toon discussion. But the problem is Toons have multiple FTKs right now. You can Dark Eradicate or Warlock your opponent by just making Demod. You have Shadow Toon, which is another facilitator to burn through, things that the opponent has. Like, it's just crazy to think about having access to all of these tools just to be able to burn through the opponent. And obviously that's not even talking about the regular Toon OTK, where you're able to make the Blue Eyes Ultimate Toon attack directly, trigger an effect, blink out your Toon Dragon, comes back as a new monster, attack directly. Congratulations, you just did 9,000 damage to your opponent for really no reason. That's why, like, the Toon deck is very, very scary for the way it actually operates. And obviously, should one deck have this many ways to do things? No. It really should not have this much madness about it. But the deck's consistency, the deck's ability to do all of these different tools, it's very, very, very broken in that sense. And I wonder how the TCG will approach this when our time comes for this. But we don't even know when Toon Madness will be arriving stateside. So we'll just keeping everybody up to tune with that, because that's very interesting. So what do you guys think? Take a second to leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.